Jason Talks About. And in this episode, Jason talks about the week in WWE. That's including WWE Raw on March 10th from Madison Square Garden and Smackdown of the same week from Barcelona, Spain. I'm your host, Jason Medeiros. That music you heard at the top, Reality 508. Find them where you find music and find me wherever you go on social media at Jason Talks About in most places. And please hit that like and subscribe button if you have not already. Okay, let's jump into WWE Raw. So, like I said, Monday night, March 10th, they're in Madison Square Garden. They do the big Jey Uso entrance through the crowd, through the concession area and the crowd, and everybody's yeeting all over the place. And there's no denying Jey Uso's super over. His entrance is super over, and the people are loving him. And he's fighting Grayson Waller. No surprises here. Jey Uso won this match pretty easily. Well, semi-competitive, I guess. He hit the spear. And then after the match, Austin Theory attacked him, and they had the numbers. And Jey actually fought off both of them. Gave Theory the spear and the splash. And then from behind, here came Gunther. Slapped the sleeper on Jey. And basically passed him out, and the security people came and got Gunther off of him. When they came back from the break, Jey's in the back. He's getting ice from the trainer, and the Alpha Academy were checking in on him. The Alpha Academy have had their run-ins with Gunther, where he beat both of them in consecutive weeks. Otis and Tozawa, that is. I did want to say a couple things here that I still don't understand why they gave up on Austin Theory so much. He looks great. He can wrestle good. I don't know. He seems well-spoken in his promos. I don't know what happened. I don't know if he's just a casualty of Vince really liked him, but it doesn't make any sense to me who liked who. He seems to be a good talent, and he's just buried into oblivion right now. To the point where one guy is fighting off both him and his friend, his partner. Okay, so let's go to the next thing here. So Logan Paul was in ring doing a promo, and the boos, he's got the Dominic Mysterio thing going, maybe even worse now. And Logan Paul says something about when you think of Logan, it's the same thing as thinking of Cena and The Rock, and basically, Cody's stupid, and he said, "Hey, Rock, my soul's for sale." And then he talks to Andrew Schultz. So I rolled my eyes at this whenever we're on Netflix, so we have to spend time featuring the guy that's got a comedy show on Netflix, and I don't know who he is, and it seemed like some of the crowd knew who he is, but a lot of them didn't, and he's basically saying, so he goes up to this Andrew Schultz guy, "Why did you come?" "Well, I came to see Seth and Punk, not you. I came to see guys like AJ Styles." And so Logan drags him over the barricade, throws him in the ring. AJ Styles makes the save, hits him with a phenomenal forearm. Logan rolls out of the ring, and AJ calls him to come back in the ring and fight, and Logan keeps walking, and then the Schultz guy and AJ celebrate in the ring. So, get used to this, folks. If there's a new Netflix show, you're going to see them probably do an angle on Monday Night Raw. The New Day fought Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee. During the match on the outside, a guy in the mask attacks Dragon Lee, and it's pretty sure it was Chad Gable in this USA Luchador mask, and he actually threw up the double peace sign, or the double victory sign, and said "gracias" instead of "thank you." So I'm pretty sure that was Chad Gable. I did ask if why wasn't there a DQ, because he attacked them, but they're framing it as, well, this person came from the crowd and we don't know who they are. But I would still think if somebody attacks the wrestlers even from the crowd, even if you don't disqualify the other team, shouldn't it be deemed a no contest or something? I mean, logic. If this was AEW, we'd be asking for the logic, and I'm not defending them. Stay tuned for that review. But, something should have happened. Anyway, the New Day took over off of this distraction, and they pinned Rey Mysterio. Another thing I noticed is they both pinned him. So one member had him pinned, the other member had his hands. I think it was Xavier had the pin, and maybe Kofi had his hands on Xavier's back, or whatever, the other way around. That's not legal either. So I'm just asking for the basic rules, the basic tenets of wrestling to be followed. That's all. Um, all right, so then we go to the back. It's the Judgment Day, and they're continuing their little arguing, and no new members, and all that good stuff. And uh, Dominic tells Finn Balor that he got Finn a match versus Braun Breaker, and Finn looks like he's gonna be upset, but then he hugs Dominic. So the the saga continues with the internal strife of the Judgment Day and the impending face turn of Finn Balor back into the Demon. I'm supposing is gonna happen because they've been hinting it pretty strongly. Cody did an in-ring promo. He puts over New York. Says Cena will be in Belgium next week. The crowd, there was some "Let's go Cena, Cena sucks" chants. I wrote that Cody. I thought this went a little too long. This promo, the crowd seemed a little restless. I'm not saying they don't like Cody, they do, but they seem to. And I was getting a little restless too. And he just said something about Title 17 isn't going to happen for Cena, and he's delusional and whatever. So that was it. It was a promo, and he left. So there was no action out of that. Raquel versus Bailey. I felt like the crowd got kind of quiet for this. And it's kind of a shame because I think they're both pretty good. But I don't know what the deal is. It just seems like sometimes with the women matches that the crowd in both companies, I mean, this wasn't as severe as AEW, but they got a little quiet. Raquel ended up winning with the Tahana Bomb after Liv and Dom both interfered. So, Bailey's been taking some pins lately, but it's usually not clean. So, Kathy Kelly's in the back with Chad Gable. And she's saying, we all know it was you and the Lucha mask and this and that. And it's like, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm kind of laughing at this. But then in the background, we see a guy getting escorted out in the mask. The same mask and the same outfit. So, I don't know what tricks Chad Gable's pulling here, but they're kind of making you doubt if it was him in the mask. Then we go out to the ring. Michael Cole's doing an interview with Io Sky. There was "You Deserve It" chants. And Cole introduces Bianca Belair into the mix after he asks Io Sky a couple of fluff questions. And Bianca comes out and there's EST chants. And he's basically setting up like, y'all going to fight each other at WrestleMania. But then Rhea interrupts. Rhea Ripley. Big time mommy chants. And she's accusing Bianca of maybe helping Io because she didn't want to face her. And so Bianca and Rhea are going back and forth, and Io keeps trying to intervene in the argument. And at two separate occasions, each woman, Bianca and Rhea, pie-faced Io and basically pushed her out of the way. So then she hauls off and slaps Rhea, and then hauls off and slaps Bianca, and takes off out of the ring. And I know it was supposed to be this like kind of shocking moment, but I'm kind of like a couple of things. Why did they just stand there and get slapped? Why didn't they fight back? Why are they so stunned? They're all supposed to be fighters. She struck them. I don't know. I guess they're just trying to build some intrigue. I guess, well, maybe you're going to get Rhea inserted into the match somehow and have a three-way. I don't know where they're going yet with all this. Okay, so the big main event that basically, this is kind of a subpar Raw so far, but it was all building to one match, Seth versus Punk in the cage. So let's cover that now. So Seth comes out first. Now remember, they're in New York. Don't get me wrong, the crowd did like him, and they did the whole sing-along with his song. But man, once his song ended and there was a pause, there was massive, massive, loud CM Punk chants before his entrance music even hit. And then when his music did hit, massive pop, the sing-along to Cult of Personality, the clobbering time, all that good stuff. Punk gets in the ring. Seth jump starts it, jumps on CM Punk. They start brawling. They started off really hot and really fast. Big Punk chants really loud. At one point, they did start doing the "Let's Go Rollins" CM Punk back and forth. Every time they traded punches and chops and slaps, there was the boo and the yay. The boo was usually Rollins. The yay was Punk. At one point, Seth Rollins buckle bombed Punk into the cage, and Rollins took control for a while after that. Seth did open the door for Punk and kind of told him, "Here you go ahead, escape." And he gave Seth the middle fingers, which Netflix made sure to move the camera shot so you didn't see that. Well, I shouldn't say Netflix, WWE, whoever made the decision. I think it was WWE actually. Um, at one point after that, after Seth stayed in command for a little while, Punk ended up sneaking in the GTS, but he couldn't cover him because he was too hurt. Couldn't cover Seth, I should say. And then Punk did the same thing. He opened the door for Seth, and Seth gave him the fingers. The pace slowed for a while after this. At one point, Punk gave 3 standing elbow drops and then 3 elbow drops from the top. It was reminiscent of the 5 elbow drops on that Macho Man gave to the Warrior in the Macho Man retirement match. And same result, 2 count by Seth, kicking out. Punk goes to the top of the cage, and I'm wondering what's he going to do up there, but Rollins follows him, and they fought on top for a while. Seth did superplex Punk, not from the top of the cage, but at this point they had kind of fought their way down onto the normal top rope, and that got a 2 count. There was "This is awesome" chants. Punk got the GTS in, 2 count. Goes for another one. Rollins reversed the GTS, puts him in an STF. Then Punk reverses that into an Anaconda Vice. Seth raked Punk's eyes to get out of that and then gave him the stomp, 2 count. Another GTS, 2 count. "This is awesome" chants, the singing Seth's "Whoa" song thing going on. Punk actually gave the stomp to Seth for a 2 count. Then he opened the door, Punk did, for Seth. Seth refused again. Seth ended up landing a super stomp on Punk where he jumps off the second rope. And then eventually what happened was Roman Reigns came out with the door open, grabbed Seth, dragged him out of the ring, so Seth Rollins technically wins the cage match while Punk was down from the super stomp. He gives Seth the Superman punch and the spear on the outside of the ring. There's OTC chants. He's got a YTC shirt on now because he's your tribal chief, I suppose. Roman stomps Seth out on the floor. Michael Cole mentioned the history about the Shield. He even name dropped Dean Ambrose, who is now known as John Moxley. Pierce and the officials come out and then separating Roman, getting him away from Seth. In the ring, Heyman is comforting Punk. Roman Reigns sees this. He goes in the ring. He attacks Punk. He gives him a spear. Heyman looks all worried, and we have the OTC chances that we went off the air. This was a good match, and the angle with Roman. This is a crazy. A few things here. I might sound a little crazy. I'm not totally sold on the supposed 3-way between Punk, Rollins, and Roman at WrestleMania. I don't know. Not feeling that. Would rather see a singles match, maybe Punk and Rollins, if there's like a rubber match or something. And I don't know. It seems like they're a little directionless with Roman Reigns, which is funny to say. But in their defense, it's kind of hard to book a guy when he's not around that often. I'm not hating on Roman for that. I'm just stating what I feel. And I know Dave Meltzer got a lot of shit because he said like this was a basic Paul Heyman match inside of a cage. I did think this was just kind of a good wrestling match inside of a cage. It didn't have the blood and the guts and everything, but I think most people were expecting maybe at least a couple more crazy spots, and there really wasn't too much. They fought on top of the cage. Nobody fell or anything. I'm not advocating for that, but so it was kind of a safe cage match. But you know what? Here's the thing, and I don't think Meltzer was trying to insinuate this and whatever, and people are arguing about it. If the characters are over this much and they're that invested in the storyline, and this is not to say it was a shitty match or anything, but if you just go out there and just have a good match even though you didn't make a lot of utilization of the cage or blood or anything, people will still love it. And I think that crowd was evidence. That was evident of that. The crowd was super crazy for this match. So they did their job, because that's what they're supposed to do, is take the crowd on a ride, and that's exactly what they did. Okay, let's go to Smackdown in Barcelona, Spain. The crowd was great. There was a lot of ole, ole, ole. The European crowds are just great when WWE's over there. We open up with LA Knight doing an in-ring promo, and Jimmy Uso interrupts and basically says he's desperate and his road to WrestleMania is running short, and he wants to challenge LA Knight for the US title. And then the New Bloodline interrupted. Solo had the mic in his hand, and seemed like he was building up to him saying he should get a shot, but he swerved us and kind of said Fatu deserves a shot at the title. And that got big time Fatu chants. So then the New Bloodline surrounded the ring and then ended up attacking the faces. And then Braun Strowman came in and made the save, and Nick Aldis came out, spoke a little Spanish, got a big pop, made a 6-man match and said it's going to stop right now. And so there was a 6-man tag. Braun Strowman ended up pinning Tama Tonga. Fatu attacked Braun after the match, gave him 3 moonsaults, and then rolled him to the outside and gave him the hip attack through the barricade while Strowman was sitting there against the barricade on the floor. So the good guys got the win, but Fatu still looks like a monster in the end. Jade Cargill was being interviewed by Kathy Kelly. This was a pre-tape. It was in the empty arena before the show. She's asking how she's doing. She says she's physically okay, but emotionally she's not. And she remembers seeing Naomi run away when she got pushed. And Liv and Raquel Rodriguez now are walking by. Kathy Kelly and Jade Cargill are several rows up, so there's some space separating, and they start kind of interrupting the interview, and Liv Morgan is pissed off, saying, I got blamed for this for a long time. You should have came, again, it's kind of the heels having a point again. But basically Jade says, she's going to beat her ass next week, so they're going to have a match. B-Fab fought Charlotte. I've said before, I think B-Fab has some promise. I think she needs a little polish on her personality and ring work, but I think she's very promising. She's very tall and athletic and has a really good look, and so she went in there and fought Charlotte, and no surprise, Charlotte won with the figure 8. But then she wouldn't release the figure 8 after the bell, so Tiffany Stratton came in and made the save, and there was a little brawl, and the security and the officials broke them up. I shouldn't say a little brawl. Let me correct myself. So this brawl went on, and there had to be 20 men security guards, and they couldn't stop these 2 women from fighting. I found that a little ridiculous. But anyway, so they're trying to break it up, and they're fighting all the way to the back, and these 20 male security guards can't stop them. They had a Drew McIntyre package where he talked about the history of Damian Priest continuously being there whenever he's screwed to jump in and take advantage. So I think it's pretty clear at this point that we're heading to WrestleMania with these 2 guys. I'm hoping McIntyre gets the win. That's just me. And I'm hoping he has a big year. I just think he's just way too good, and he's not getting any younger. Then we had Miz TV. And in the beginning of Miz TV, Tiffany and Charlotte are still brawling. The 20 men still can't split them up. So we see them kind of fight, through the entranceway and then back to the back again with all these guys. These 20 men, the worst security guards of all time, can't stop 2 women from fighting. He introduced, so then the Miz introduced Cody. There was the big sing-along to Cody's music. The crowd was really red hot. Miz starts to complain about it, and he gets to Crossroads. And I'm paraphrasing here, but Cody just kind of said he don't want to talk to the Miz or to anyone else but Cena, and he's going to be on Raw where Cena will be there in Belgium. So that was kind of just Cody, and he left. Nick Aldis is in the back with Shinsuke, talking to Shinsuke Nakamura. Priest interrupts. He's looking for Drew McIntyre. Him and Aldis go back and forth a little bit. And then Shinsuke probably starts to say something in Japanese. If I was to guess, I'd probably say, like, how rude, you interrupted me, but I don't know. Then Damian Priest starts to cut a promo in Spanish so the crowd in Spain could understand. And Nick Aldis was kind of funny because he's like, I don't know what you said. I don't know what you said, but you're going to have a match tonight. So then they did. Priest versus Shinsuke. There was a big sing-along for Shinsuke's music, and they had the Fireflies out with the phones, and Shinsuke was really, really over. There was Nakamura chants, and I know they were trying to frame this as the evil Nakamura against the good guy Priest, but the crowd wasn't having that. They were really into, I'm not to say that they hated Priest, but they were super into Nakamura. He just has a lot of respect all over the place. At one point, Drew McIntyre showed up at ringside, and there was a big, "Oh, Drew McIntyre" chant. And he ended up, at first, he was just out there with a smirk on his face, not doing anything. But then as the match progressed and it looked like Priest might win, Drew attacked him for a disqualification. So Priest wins. McIntyre and Priest went back and forth. And then right when it looked like Priest might get the upper hand, here came Shinsuke with the Kinshasa from behind. And then he leaves the bones to McIntyre. McIntyre then continues to beat on Priest. He throws him outside the ring. There was CM Punk chants. He hit Priest with the steel ring steps. And the referees are kicking Drew out. They get in between them. Priest is back in the ring now. Everybody's checking on Priest. The referees are still pushing McIntyre down the rampway and then, the aisleway. And then Drew breaks free from the refs, runs back in the ring, Claymore to Priest, and then stomps on his head. And believe it or not, we still got the "Oh, Drew McIntyre" chant. So, bloodthirsty Spanish crowd there. Okay. So, again, I've said before, I'm a McIntyre fan. I hope he goes over in this feud at WrestleMania, and I really hope they set him up for something. Nothing against Priest, but he got a big push all last year. He got the title for a while. A lot of the stuff he did was at the expense of Drew McIntyre, so it would be a nice story, I think, to have McIntyre get that win back, whatever. All right, then we had Randy Orton versus Carmelo Hayes. They had the Randy sing-along with his music. I got a kick out of the 10 punches in the crowd, so Randy mounts Hayes in the corner and gives him the 10 punches, but they were all in Spanish as the crowd counting them out, 1, 2, 3, and so forth. The crowd was super hot for Randy. You know, he's got the nostalgia thing on his side, and they don't get to see him often. No surprises here. Randy won with the RKO. He goes for the punt on Carmelo Hayes, and Kevin Owens shows up out of nowhere and pulls Hayes out. Now, I'm thinking that that's just KO denying Randy the satisfaction, not saving Carmelo Hayes, because KO don't give a crap about nobody, the character anyway. KO and Randy brawled, and then KO pushed Randy into the ring post and ran back out through the crowd. So, more to come there. All right, so then Gunther came out, and this was a pleasant surprise for me. If they did announce that he was going to be there, I missed it, and he's in his ring gear, and I noticed that, and I said, So he comes in the ring, he cuts a promo, talks about how he's the greatest European wrestler of all time, and talks about how you people all love Jey Uso, waving his arms around like an idiot, but in the ring he's no good. So he says, I'm going to call out a great wrestler from Spain, and it's Axiom. He's half of the NXT Tag Champions. And there was huge Axiom chants. And they actually had a pretty competitive match. Axiom, for those of you who don't know, is a smaller guy in a mask. He's a cruiserweight. He's not tiny. He's well-built dude, but he's, not big compared to Gunther, for sure. And he definitely looks like a cruiserweight. And they had a competitive match, and I think they had a pretty good match. And they got the Spanish crowd really riled up, and I think they were believing. There was couple of close near falls with him on top of Gunther, but Gunther ended up winning with the power bomb, and he had the sleeper locked in after the bell, and the refs had to come break it up. So, just giving Gunther some more heat with the hometown crowd. And then Heyman came out, did an in-ring promo, talked about how it's Roman Reigns Day because 2K25 came out, and Punk had a problem with Roman being on the cover, and there was Punk chants, and And if anyone has a problem with the tribal chief, they can say it to his face in Italy next week. So this is just another promo and a guy leaving. um, Jimmy and Gunther are backstage. So Jimmy Uso's sitting there. Gunther comes and sits near him. Says, I wanted to talk to you. You seem like the more mature brother. And if Jay doesn't step back, I'm going to have to hurt him. And then Jim says, I think you might have it backwards. I think you might be the guy that's going to get hurt. And y'all going to be losing that title at WrestleMania. And then he gives Gunther the yeet and walks away. And Gunther just kind of says, like, okay, I tried. I tried to have you talk him out of it. So, yeah. And then we get to the Street Profits versus DIY for the Tag Team Championship. So I'm a little confused because I thought the Street Profits clearly turned heel. But they promoted all the way to the ring, with the camera following them. And it seemed to be a very babyface type, rah-rah type speech all the way. And got the crowd behind them. And they came out and the entrance seemed very babyface-like. And DIY are clearly heels now. And the Profits did win the match and became the new tag team champions. And I'm wondering if they're babyfaces now. I don't know. Kind of seems like they are. So here's what I'll say about the week in WWE. The crowds were amazing, right? So we had a New York crowd and a Spain crowd. So they were amazing. And there was some good wrestling. I mean, I liked Punk and Rollins. But there wasn't anything really super that stood out. And I still have a weird feeling about the Stratton, Charlotte, and Jey Uso, Gunther feuds heading into WrestleMania. They just seem like they don't fit right to me. I don't know. They're just not hitting for me. Gunther's unbelievable. Charlotte's an unbelievable wrestler. We know that. Tiffany Stratton's a rising star. So is Jey Uso. And maybe that's just what they're doing. I mean, WWE's playing with house money. They're making more money than ever before. They're selling out everywhere. They're breaking records. They're got huge viewership and attendance. And maybe they're like, you know what? It doesn't have to be a Clash of the Titans. We can use WrestleMania to say, let's use two of our veterans to help out get over two of our young hot stars. And Jey Uso's super over, no doubt about that. But the feud just doesn't feel right to me. And same thing with the Tiffany Stratton thing. I think it would be way more interested if, say, Drew McIntyre or Seth Rollins had the belt and Punk was chasing it or something to that effect. I don't know. But anyway, I guess they feel they don't need the belt on those feuds and they're still going to kill it. So my feelings on the week in WWE, I would say okay. A lot of talking, and I know that's something AEW fans bring up a lot, but I really felt that this time. The fast forward button came in really handy. There was a lot of promos, a lot of talking, a lot of people just coming out to the ring, saying stuff, leaving. And the wrestling action was pretty minimal. And there was really only one standout match to me, was that, the Profits and DIY, there was nothing wrong with it as a wrestling match, but they've demeaned the tag team division so much that it just doesn't feel that big anymore. But I would just say, okay week. The crowds get an A+. But the shows in general, I just feel like we're kind of in a safe holding pattern, with the exception of the cage match. That was a big angle and that was good. But other than that, I felt like everything else was just kind of okay. So that's my opinion on the week in WWE, and that's okay. Every week doesn't have to blow you out of the water. But I do expect things to rev up a little bit as we get closer to WrestleMania. All right, well, thanks for listening, and if you haven't yet, please hit the like and subscribe button, and join me next time when I review the week in AEW. All right, take care, folks. See you next time.